Hi guys, so this month's moves are the core movements which follows on from the dancing, earthing feet and the free-flowing creative hips. We get to the core and this kind of comes to the solar plexus, but also I want it to be from a physical perspective. We're going to look at it from the navel. And the core is our seat of our divine will. So what is it that we're really here to do? And this is often where we can get a bit confused between what the ego wants us to do with our lives and what our desires and wants are, and what it is that is really going to fulfill us and make us so happy. And building the strength in the core, but it being pliable and easy and able to digest things is really important in terms of that balance between that ego and what the soul wants us to do. And so this is an area that often can be really problematic for many of us in life, whether it's food and digestion problems, whether it's back problems because the core is either too tight or not strong enough. So this is an important area, so go gentle with this. These are some really simple moves that you can put it into your life, and then at the very end of this video there's going to be some breathing exercises as well that can really support that gentle and strengthening of the core. So without further ado, let's get into it. We did the hips last time and that kind of comes into that centre of gravity down skin area. And then what we have is we come up into the abdomen and we come into those deep core muscles. We want to be bringing those ribs together, keeping them nice and connected, but not kind of slumped down. And we want to have a nice core that's pliable and moves and can make lots of different shapes, is responsive, but strong and flexible. So we're looking for a core that can really move around. So I wanted to pick the navel because it's a really useful point that we can kind of connect ourselves into as a movement pattern. So just to begin with, we are just going to start by imagining the belly button, gently drawing the body forward. So you lead from the belly button, you might arch the back. Be careful if you've got a bad back. You can bend your knees a little bit just to help ease it, and just don't go too far. And then you're going to imagine that the navel pushes back and it rounds the back the other way. Now the pelvis, the shoulders may respond. You're then going to pull the belly button forwards, and then you're just going to gently rock the belly button into the spine. So we're just doing what would otherwise in like many exercise classes, yoga, Pilates, be what is your cat-cow. So your cow that lifts that back bend, and then the cat around the other spine. But often the shoulders and the pelvis do all kinds of strange things. Just try and move only from the belly button. So you can see I'm really allowing myself to go between two extremes. I'm going to try and relax as much as I can. Now you can choose to continue to stand. You can put your hands on your knees and you can drop the belly down this way and then draw up from that navel, but really focus on what the belly button is doing. Focus on, as the back goes into this arch, there's still the control of the belly button. So the belly button isn't completely dropping. There's still a connectedness. It's like it's opening and having a big yawn. And then it's like the belly button is scrunches its teeth and goes, and it squeezes up. You could even get down on the floor. And the core is arching from the navel, and then I'm going to draw the navel back. Now this, be careful if you're doing it on your back because you may not have the strength that I have to move, but you can see it's still quite a lot of hard work to even arch up the back and then press down this navel to create the lift. Be gentle with your body as you're doing this. You may find you want to keep everything on the floor and just practice. Just getting even into this amount of movement, flattening the back, getting that navel down on the floor is really hard for a lot of people. And you could do it with your body and your knees bent, giving you a bit more support. But try to make sure it's not coming from those glutes. Make sure it's all coming from this navel doing the work rather than it being from the hips or from the shoulders. We want the movement to just come purely from this navel center. Is that you're initiating this movement right from the belly button and feeling how the whole of the body reacts from the navel. It's like you're a starfish, and starfish curl up and all their little starry limbs come in, and when they're ready and they want to come out, they spread. So now we've done that way a few times. We're going to come to side to side. So imagine the navel is now trying to squeeze itself side to side. Try and keep the hips reasonably still, soften the knees. If you need to take a few of those grounding steps to get your feet really nice and on the ground, move your hips through a couple of the salsas from the previous one, let those hips settle down, and then you come into just moving from the navel, side to side. And it's almost like you're trying to splice across the belly button as you're going side to side, and it will create a movement in the ribs. Now this is really important. Often through the side body, we get really tight, and it's our connection between the future and the past. Funnily enough, that means the sides are where we're present, and if we're a bit sticky and our sides aren't very open, we're probably not being very present moment in our body. So I really want to keep this nice and pliable so we're really open to the present moment. And this is a great way to start to get into those sides, is these side to side movements. Keeping nice and grounded through the legs, and just let your arms naturally swing and the head react. And just be easy with it, let it go, let the arms flow forwards and back. You can add in some little moves if you want, but really try and get it to be from the belly button and up from the hips. Okay, next what happens, it goes into a twist. So again, try to feel like this is just the belly button being wrung out like a dishcloth. As you twist, letting everything react from the twist, but really try and feel that the legs and the hips are still so that you can feel the wringing of the waist. Because what we're starting to do is we're wringing out the abdomen. Caveat guys, don't do this when you've got a full belly. As you're doing it, wringing out the abdomen, helping digestion, helping us process experiences in life, helping us move stuff through and down and out. Yum yum. And remember, you could be doing this movement on your back nice and slow if you need to. So you could be on your back. That's absolutely great. Really get the shoulders nice and still. You'll want to move the hips slightly over to one side so that as you twist, it's really coming from the navel and you can feel the wringing out of the navel. And then you come back through and you're going to do the same thing. You need to slightly move the hips so that you can really feel the skin being pulled, you know, the wringing across the belly. So it's not kind of stretch, it becomes this activation. If your core is strong enough, you could do it with the legs in tabletop and you keep the shoulders anchored and you're just practicing taking those legs over and away, getting again this squeeze across the belly as you come into the twist, feeling that work across the center and then coming up. So these are our movements. So finally, your choice is then to try and create this movement through the upper body. So you start to become that fluid. You could become those figure of eights. So it's got that sideways and the rotation from that center. Letting it move like this figure of eights from your navel. And if you can, let your legs move, shifting the weight. Feeling how this rippling from that center is creating this movement, and yes, everything else wants to get involved because it's all initiating from the core. You could, if you wanted to, start to do some circles with that body. Again, try and feel like it's all coming from that center of your belly button. Notice if you need to move the hips or it's all in the shoulders. Try and get this movement from that navel. I'm going to go the other way just so I don't get uneven. There's always one way you're going to prefer. Okay, there's always one way you're going to want to keep going. And another way you're going to be like, yeah, my balance isn't so good, or there's a little weird like in the movement. So just see if you can iron it out, make it as smooth as possible. And I wanted to come back to that starfish principle, where it's really that drawing in from the navel and opening it out. Now this is very much the principle that Martha Graham, mother of modern contemporary dance movement, explored in her contraction and release. But man, she really went full extreme with that contraction, not encouraging that. Allow some softness in the belly. So really drawing in and open yourself out and express beautifully. As you do these starfish movements, feel like everything reaches to the tips of the fingers and the toes. The energy is pulsating through the body, and you can make it smaller and more from the body. It can ripple and ripple. You could even make it ripple up and down and up, taking your body through some lovely body ripples. But again, all of it trying to lead. I lift from my navel, I open it, I collapse it, I scoop it in and up. So I'm really trying to allow the navel to move it for me. And then finally, I wanted just to touch on some breathing exercises, because the navel and the belly and breath are so important. And really calming breath is to belly breathe. So resting the hands on the belly and just allowing the belly to expand on the inhale into the hands, and then draw away on the exhale. And you can have your mouth open or closed, whatever feels natural. Just letting that belly naturally expand and soften with each breath. And allow that breath to be whatever duration works for you. And if you need to energize, pick up some focus, be a little bit more like on, what you can do with that breath is take a couple of those slow, calming breaths. And you want it to be an even inhale and exhale as much as you can. And you just start to pick up the pace a little bit. So you just kind of go. It's called Bhastrika breath. It's not the same as the fire breathing that's often taught in yoga. This is Bhastrika, which is another yoga practice. And in some ways it's harder to get your head around because it's an even force of the inhale and the exhale in that belly. So it's a slower breath than the lion's breath that you'll often see practiced, which is that panting breath. This has a gentler rhythm, but it's still as strong, but it's strong on both the inhale and the exhale, as full on the inhale and as full on the exhale. But like Kapalabhati, we're focusing on the navel coming in and out as you breathe. Nice, full, even inhale and exhale so that it's calm yet invigorating at the same time, which is going to help improve focus, mental clarity, and that bit of an energizing lift if you've got that afternoon coffee slump and you might want to boost yourself. So you can go between those two types of belly breath. One, just gentle, natural, easy flow, but if you can, rhythm. is even inhale and exhale, but it's soft and gentle. And then you just slightly more contract the belly. But again, even in and out for that Vastrika breath. I hope those have given you some ideas about the abdomen, digesting, freeing up, moving from our center, and really helping get through a fuller expression from your core. Let me know any questions or comments, and I'll see you next month for exploring the heart and arms. Take care.